Hello everyone, Neil Tappin here from Golf Monthly, and welcome to this video in which we are going to take a look at 6 golf tips you should ignore. These tend to be the things that amateurs say to other amateurs, and they can actually do you more harm than good. Right, let's head out onto the golf course here at Fox Hills, take a look at the 6 golf tips you should ignore. Okay, so we're joined by Alex again, and Alex, the first one on the list is about the position of your left elbow in the golf swing. Explain to me what it is that people get told here.
There's a lot of talk where we've got to keep this left elbow straight and left arm straight. And now, okay, there may be reasons why we actually bend the left elbow due to grip. But if we just look at it just as a whole and saying, I don't think there should be so much pressure on keeping the left arm straight. Okay, so can I just play devil's advocate here for a second? You don't want to be in a position where you're in that position there. No. No. So there is some truth to this, that you shouldn't be in that position there. Why is that not a good position to be in? Ultimately, it's going to create a very inconsistent bottom of the arc. Now, anytime I see a motion like this, I tend to kind of classify people that may be a little bit scoopy into the golf ball. But the thing with this, look at Jordan Spieth. He was a world #1, Masters winner. He is what we kind of classify as slightly bent at the top. Okay, so what's an okay position to be in at the top then? What I would say is we don't want to feel like we're locked out, because that's really going to limit our rotation. Anytime that we feel like we concentrate on trying to keep that straight, we start to create a lot of tension through the whole body. Right, anytime we create tension, it's hard to create rhythm, it's hard to create a good consistent swing. So even when I swing and as I come to the top, I would never be locked out, I would never be at 90 degrees, but I would have a slight kink in my arm. Yeah. Just be relaxed. Yeah, so it's just, I guess this is one for anyone out there that's really getting a bit too focused on keeping this very straight. And it all can become very mechanical and so lacking in that kind of free-flowing movement that you're looking for. Exactly, and if we look at Ernie Els, Jordan Spieth, all free-flowing movements, we're not stood here like a mechanical robot really focusing on this, because our focus is on this then, not the shot in hand. Yeah, so there you have it. Don't worry too much about keeping this elbow perfectly straight during the golf swing. So for the next one, as you can see, we are on the putting green. And Alex, it's again another tip that you'll hear people give to each other, which is that you've got to keep your wrists really locked down to have a repeatable, consistent putting stroke. But actually, again, it's a thought that can do more harm than good. Why? Exactly. Well, if you just imagine you're going to address the ball on the floor there, if you feel the wrists are locked, straight away we're going to get tension in the arms, tension in the shoulders, and it becomes a very wooden, no-flowing motion. True. Now, there are techniques where we potentially get the arm in an arm lock, and we do create it to be locked out. So putting's very individual to you, and if you're using that kind of grip, then that's okay for that technique. Yes, but otherwise, for most of us who aren't using an arm lock grip, actually you want a little bit of freedom in your wrist. We look at Jack Nicklaus, one of the probably the best putters, best short game, having that flow, even feeling, I'm not saying flick it, but a little bit of give in the lead wrist. Okay. It's going to help you develop feel, it's going to help you longer putts, shorter putts, and just overall help you flow. But as you say, you don't want to flick it, because I guess the truth, again, there's always an element of truth behind all of these, isn't there? And the truth is, you see a lot of players, when they putt, get into that position there, they kind of do all of the work by flicking the wrist of the ball. And why is that not a good idea? Almost going to hit up on the ball, we're going to hit above the equator, we could put in the face left, put in the face right. So what I would tend to give as my advice if I was holding it a more traditional way is that we want a motion that's driven mainly by the arms and the body and very little with the wrist. So if I make this motion here, you wouldn't stick out that I'm flicking the golf ball club. No. But I have an element of softness to my wrists, and that's what I want you to have, the element of softness, almost like you're squeezing a tube of toothpaste. Yeah, so just that little bit of, I guess you could call this a little bit of lag actually, in your wrist. It's going to help the freedom of your stroke, the flow of your stroke, ultimately improve your overall consistency on the greens. Okay, so the next one on our list relates to lag. And it's something that a lot of amateurs go in search of because they know that it's the kind of that secret ingredient that delivers more power. But why is lag itself something that players should sort of not be so worried about searching for? I think it's a dangerous topic for most people. It can, for me, cause them to stiffen up,
pointing the face right at target, and really become very obsessed in creating a move that looks very false in rehearsal. Now, there are essence in saying that, okay, we've got to kind of create the opposite scenarios to what we've got. But I would say for most people, if you look at you've got a good grip, good body movement, good sequencing, that will help you create lag.
Okay, fine.
Rather than going searching for it directly.
So don't be led down the path of thinking it's this kind of magic, you know, little single thing that you can do that's going to deliver more power.
Exactly. We're not saying it's not important, it is, but being too focused on it can be the wrong avenue for you.
Okay, go on then, hit one for us, Alex.
Okay.
Okay, lovely shot. And I think we'll show that again from the sort of square on angle. You'll be able to see that Alex creates lag in his golf swing, but he does it through a whole host of other things that are working well. Trying to focus purely on delivering that lag is probably not the right way to go. Okay, so the next one on our list relates to chipping. Alex, what is it?
So I always hear this, especially when we're trying to create a bit of spin around the greens. Put the ball back, get the hands forward, hit down the golf ball. I was told it as a junior.
Yeah, I was actually taught that as being the right way to chip.
I mean, there probably are times and scenarios where we probably want to adopt a similar technique for that, but sometimes by putting that ball back and the hands forward, all we're doing there is exposing that leading edge, and it's going to dig.
And you're going to potentially duff it, which is something that I am very familiar with, Alex. So if that's not the right technique for chipping, what is the right technique?
Well, I like to make sure the ball is a little bit more central. So the rule of thumb that I use is my stance, I like to have just wide of a club width apart.
Okay.
And if the chip becomes a little bit longer, I get a little bit wider accordingly.
Fine.
Ball position, just on my zip or just to the right of my zip. And then from there, hands on the golf ball. Because now we've got an opportunity to display some loft and hit slightly down on it, which is a good recipe for creating spin.
And crucially, you're going to be employing a bit more of the bounce of the golf club, so the clubs should just glide off the top of the turf.
Exactly, you've got a much more margin for error. So in the winter, when you're chipping or it's a bit of a wet lie, a bit of a bad lie, you've got a bigger margin for error.
No, you've just put yourself under a bit of pressure there because it is winter here.
Yeah.
It is very wet underfoot. This is a real prime scenario for duffing it, isn't it? And that's exactly why you shouldn't have the ball back in your stance and your hands forward.
Exactly.
So yeah, show us how it's done, Alex.
Okay, no pressure.
Well, it just grabbed on you there, but as you could see, absolutely no danger that that club was going to dig and that Alex was going to duff that one. That's not your best, Alex. Now,
No.
if we were playing golf, in that scenario, I might be tempted to say to you, just slow it down a bit because it looked a bit ragged.
Yes, yeah, it looked a little bit off balance, I guess.
But actually, it's a tip, again, it's a tip that gets handed from one amateur to the next that might not be that useful.
Now, if we look at the top players in the world, they're trying to swing the club as fast as they can. It's all about distance in the modern game. So I'm really reluctant to tell someone to slow it down. I'm more bothered about the tempo of the swing.
Okay, fine.
So my speed might be same as yours, but we have slightly different tempo in how we go about it.
Okay, fine. So that begs the question, how do you work on tempo? Tempo is one of those things, isn't it, that you either have one day or you don't have.
So the analogy that I like to use, and I use this on the course as well, so not just in my practice, I imagine a rev counter that works from transition down to the golf ball, so on the downswing.
Okay.
So a lot of people like that swing there would have looked like the high peak and the higher revs in your car were really early in the downswing.
Right at the top almost. Yeah.
Exactly. I want you to feel like you build up to that, so we're peaking our revs just before impact.
Yeah, and I guess it's the reason why many of the world's best players, they look like they swing the club quite easy, but they hit the ball very hard.
Yeah,
because actually they don't get speed until they really need it most.
I mean, Ernie Els, as soon as I think rhythm and tempo, he comes straight to my mind.
Yeah, so next time someone says to you, I think you might need to slow it down, just check yourself and think, actually, it's tempo. It's a smoother tempo that I need. That might just help you straighten things out, hit better shots. Okay, so Alex, I'd say the number one thing that you hear amateurs say to other amateurs that pros really don't like is keep your head down.
Yeah.
You know, you've hit a bad shot there, or you lifted your head.
Especially when we see a top shot.
Yes.
I hear that all the
You
time.
hear it all the time. Why is that unhelpful advice?
Well, just in terms of, if we look at how we want to work through the golf ball, we want to be very rotary through the golf ball. Now, to help us do that, the chin has to lift. We have to start looking towards the target.
Yeah, I mean, take a look at the way that Henrik Stenson swings the golf club, or the way that Annika Sorenstam hit the ball. Both of them, through impact, their head would be at kind of that angle, wouldn't it?
Exactly. So what I would say is, any time that we are trying to keep our head down, is what the tip that we hear, this is really limiting our ability to swing through and rotate, reducing club head speed, and it's going to do more harm than good, because that face could be pointing left and right, because we're really relying on our hand-eye coordination to time it.
Now, Alex, I'm going to play devil's advocate here and say there is an element of truth to don't lift your head. And that element of truth is that you don't want people to lose their posture, their spine angle. You don't want someone to kind of sort of lift up, or I guess you'd less see people dipping down. Is that true? Is that fair?
Yeah, that's the kind of, I think where it kind of gets a little bit led down the wrong avenue when we say lift our head. In an ideal world, I like to think of the golf swing, we get light, we get heavy, and we get light. But through doing this, our head roughly stays around the same position. We never want to see too many changing levels.
Yeah, okay. Well, hit one for us then, Alex, we can see what you mean.
So what I try and feel is, in terms of trying to get me to get my head to move towards target, I try and imagine I'm going to follow the spots on the golf ball down to target.
Okay, good. Lovely, so there you have it. Don't focus too hard on keeping your head down during the golf swing. Chances are, if you're hitting bad shots, it's not because you're not looking at the ball through impact. It'll be something different. Hopefully Alex's tip will show you what to do. So there you have it. That's our list of the 6 golf tips you should ignore. Guys, please do leave some comments below. Is there anything that you think we've missed? Any tips that you've been given in the past that have actually done you more harm than good? We'd be really interested to hear your thoughts. But for now, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.